Hi, friends.
This is History for the Books. I'm Katie,
I'm Allie.
and today we're talking about demons. Nature gods. Nature gods.
The devil, demons, nature god, a random human looking deer out in the woods. I don't really know.
So, yeah, when we post this, Halloween will be tomorrow.
Oh gosh, I did
Because
not.
Halloween falls on a Tuesday this year.
Oh.
So, Halloween is tomorrow for when they're watching this. I think. I hope.
We might be misconstruing.
Otherwise, I'll just cut that out.
Yeah, there you go.
So, we thought, what better way to celebrate spooky season than to talk about the scariest shit possible.
Okay, this was a book club pick, and
it was your pick.
This was my pick. So I picked it though because I knew that
well, hang on. To be fair, the cover of the book is a woman on a broomstick, so we thought it was a witchy book.
Yes, I 100% thought it was a witchy book.
No, it's not.
It's not. Until Danielle was like, actually, I don't F with demons. And I said, me neither. What are you talking about? She said, this is about a demon.
I can't read this book this month. I'm really sorry. And we were like, okay, that's okay. Like, it's fine. She's like, I can't do demons. And we were like,
I didn't know this had a demon in it.
Demons?
And Kelsey was like, Slewfoot is a demon. And I said, what?
So.
And then afterwards, you realize that, on the cover, her feet are like hooves, and she's got a skull. And anyways, so
yeah, but at first glance, it just looks like a witchy book.
Yeah,
but be warned. We are talking about. Let's maybe tell them.
Oh, we're talking about Slewfoot.
Slewfoot by Brom.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have a hard copy because we've failed this month big time.
Yeah, I read audiobook.
I did too. So. Whenever that happens, unless one of us likes it enough to order it,
which is not always the case,
we don't have it.
Right.
But just picture it.
Right here.
There, okay? Just picture it in your mind's eye.
Yeah.
So, Slewfoot follows a woman named Abatha. Okay, we are in the year 1666.
So we're already off to a bad start.
You heard me right. 666. Okay, 1666. Whenever I saw that, I was like, oh no. Here we go. So, Abatha is married to Edward.
Okay. Before you start, though, I thought that this was based on a real life event. And I still...
Yeah. Listen. We went to go get my nose pierced, okay? And while we're sitting there waiting for someone to stab my face, Allie's like, did you know that Slewfoot is on a real story? And I said, excuse me? Because then I don't want to read it. And she said, yeah, it's real. And I said, no, it's not.
I said, I think.
I said, no, it's not. Look it up right now, or I'm going to stop reading it.
It's because at the very first of the book, one of the first couple pages, it has a little thing in there right before this drawing of a goat being hovered up into the sky. It says, here lies 1666 in Connecticut. Here lies 127 souls that were killed on a fortnight by Slewfoot. God may God rest their soul, or something like that. And I was like,
and so
why would that be in the front?
Allie was like, oh, these people were killed by Slewfoot. It's a real story. I said, no, look it up. She looked it up in the piercing shop, and we learned together that it's not based off of a true story.
No, it's not. Which is good for us.
I mean, it could be.
This is how my mind works. When things like this brought up, I vaguely remember all of these documentaries that I used to watch at my parents' house because that's what I was into. And I vaguely remember on the Travel Channel when they started talking about haunting stuff, this town that had hoof prints all over the place from something and they thought it was the devil, but I will never be able to find out what that story is because it's long gone.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where I'm like, maybe it's not a real thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways.
Anywho, we follow Abatha. She's married to Edward and they live on this farm. Okay. And the book starts out, the opening words is wake up. No. Wake up. No, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Like it threw me for a loop.
And then it's like, drink the blood.
Kill the people.
Would you like for me to slaughter them?
Yeah. It's like very scary. And don't listen to it at night either.
Yeah.
But so after you get that weird like kill them vibes, then we jump to Abatha and Edward who are on the farm, and Abatha's hunting down their goat because their goat has gone missing. And in 1666, that is a very important thing that you should not lose because, I mean,
Right.
it's your livelihood. Like,
Right. And they're already struggling enough. So
Yeah.
they're like, I cannot lose another animal.
the milk that you drink, I'm pretty that's their female or something. They needed it for reproducing more.
Yeah.
So she was trying to find it because she's the one who left the gate open and she didn't want her husband to be upset with her. So she was trying to hunt it down. Well, she stumbles across this cave and she thinks that the goat has fallen into like this cavern down at the bottom of the cave. And she's like, oh no, like it's gone. So she goes back to Edward and she's like, lost the goat. I'm going to need you to come help me get it. So Edward goes with her. And he hears bawing. How do you say it? Like,
Yeah.
Like, bah.
Like the goat is saying,
help.
The goat is saying,
That's what he's
the
saying.
way that you also made help sound like it was coming from a goat. I love it.
So he hears the goat yelling help. And he's like, I gotta go down and get it because that's what we need to have to live to survive. So
and Abatha is like, screw you. I'm going back to the house. I'm not going down there and I'm not freaking watching you die either.
Yeah, Abatha's like, a devil's afoot.
Yeah. Seriously.
Don't go in that cave. You'll die.
She even tells him, she's like, I heard whispering. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, Abatha.
You're just, it's all in your head. It's fine. But he dies.
Yeah.
So,
And this was the part where I listened to it at night while I was at home by myself, and I was scared.
yeah, it says that he's like at the bottom and he's hearing children laughing and like, I don't know. It was
Then
scary.
he sees Slewfoot.
He sees him and he's
and
like,
he rips out his throat.
yeah, and he has hooves for feet. He stands as tall as a man.
Yeah.
He's got horns. Like, he's very creepy. Don't look up pictures of him. He's scary.
No.
I
didn't do that.
He's scary. So Edward dies, which leaves Abatha by herself. But let me back up. I always do this because I get too excited. But before he died, his brother came by, his brother Wallace, and was like, oh, I sold the farm. So, like, you either pay this much money to this new guy or you have to move. And he's like, no, like, that's not the deal that we made.
Yeah.
They had one payment on their land left and then would own it free. So Wallace is pissed off because he is actually in debt and needed his brother to do that to get himself out of debt. And they said no. So after Edward dies, Wallace is like, cha-ching, like, that's my land again now. And Abatha is like, no siree, I'm his wife. And so I
take over
for him legally.
Yeah.
Which is how it worked in the book. So she got to do that, but Wallace was not happy about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
We're also in a Puritan community. Forgot to mention that too.
Yes.
So Wallace is like, shut up, you stupid woman. You're not even supposed to be talking around right now. Like, I'm going to send you to the stalls.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, if you speak to a man, you're getting sent to the whipping post.
Whoop her.
Yeah. Yeah, he kept telling Edward, "Get your woman under control."
Mhm.
Like, ugh. But after he dies, Abatha's like, "Nope, I'm gonna make the payment, and that'll be that."
Yeah.
And so she's struggling to keep up with the land because she's a woman and she can't do it.
And they were like not even really doing good when Edward passed away. Like the corn was barely growing and whatever. So
Yeah. In comes Slewfoot.
Mhm.
Slewfoot and Abatha have this like connection.
Can we call him Samson? Because
I was
that.
getting there.
Oh, okay. Okay. Go
They
ahead.
have this connection. He doesn't know who he is, okay? He doesn't know who he is. He has no memories left in his little brain. Like, he doesn't know. And so Abatha is like, listen, I have to call you something. So I'm going to call you Samson because it's from the Bible. And,
That's what her goat was named.
is it?
Yeah. That's why she decided to call him that because her goat was named Samson.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Also, she said, I refuse to call you father, so I'm going to call you something else
Yeah.
besides father. Because that's what all the little woodland
Yeah, he has
creatures.
these little creatures that are his children that follow him around, and one's a possum, one's a fish, and one is a bird.
Mm-hmm.
And they're called like forestlings or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they are the ones wanting him to be brutal.
Yeah, they're like, kill her.
They're like, slaughter, blood. Basically, their
For the
mission.
pawpaw.
Their mission is to grow this pawpaw tree. I don't even know what happens when the pawpaw tree grows.
It's like the pawpaw tree, I think, was like to keep nature going kind of thing. Like, if the pawpaw tree dies, then like all of the naturelings and like nature basically dies along with
Okay,
it.
so they're trying to restore the pawpaw tree. This book sounds so stupid when we talk about it.
It does because it's also like this possum with like a baby face is
Yeah.
talking. He's like, kill them.
They have faces of children, but the bodies of a possum, a fish, and a bird. But they have children faces, and they sound like children. So, I mean, it's all weird, really.
They're kind of cute, actually.
Did you look them up?
No,
They're
I
cute
just
in your head.
like yeah, they're cute in my head, and the narrator like makes them sound kind of cute every once in a while when they're not going.
Yeah, so they don't like Abatha.
Well, just the possum because he's the only one that talks. So
Yeah, the possum doesn't like Abatha. But Samson, he likes Abatha a lot, and
Mhm.
they do like magic together. They like they sing together.
Yeah, what the heck? Like, okay.
You're listening on audiobook, right?
Yes.
Did you hear that song?
Yes, I heard all the multiple of songs.
The verses.
Yes.
I was about to text you and be like, "What am I listening to,
so,
Allie?"
yeah, nope. I heard them.
So,
I could definitely tell that it was written by a man at that point, you
Yes.
know?
I don't even know how to explain this book in a way that doesn't make us sound psychotic for reading it.
So she meets Samson, and at first she's like, dude, you killed my husband.
And you're Satan.
And you're Satan. Like you're literally Satan. I'm so scared. And my soul or whatever. And he's like, basically through this whole book, Samson's screaming, who am I?
While killing people.
Yeah. Ripping out throats. Who am I?
He's just on a terror like streak. Tell me who I am.
Abatha, you have to help me. And Abatha's like,
You're Samson.
okay, but like, what's in it for me, you know? And he's like, I'm gonna make your crops grow.
He made her crops grow so that she could pay back Wallace.
But she made a pact with him. Like she was supposed to help him and he was gonna help her in return.
Yes. She didn't really help him though, not that I can recall.
Nah, he just continues screaming, who am I multiple times.
Yeah. And so her crops grow and she's able to pay back Wallace in full. Which I was like, that's a slap in the face if I ever saw one.
No, you're missing over a part.
What?
Wallace this whole time is scheming, dog.
Okay, he tries to steal the corn, I know.
He tries to. He freaking goes to a Native American village.
Pequot.
Yeah, and he's like, and the Pequot is like, "What up, Bigfoot?" Because they and what's the guy? What's the Native American's name? What was his name?
I don't remember, but he says
Jesus. It's something Jesus. Jesus in the straw hat or something like that. Yeah. The random.
But he says, I give everyone a name. And then he gave Wallace Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. And he's like, hey, come help me steal this corn. Well, Native American Jesus in a straw hat is a piece of crap, and his wife hates him and thinks he's a lazy son of a gun. And so he's like, all right, I'll go ahead and do it so I can prove something to my wife. But, like, nobody's getting hurt, right? And Wallace is like, no.
No one's getting hurt.
Jesus.
Of course not, Jesus.
So he goes, they bring 2 carts, and 2 Native American men also follow Jesus. And Wallace brings his son. And at this part, they have wigs on, horse wigs, and big Jesus in a straw hat is like, where are you guys supposed to be? I thought, what are we doing?
He's like, we're the Pequot.
Yeah. Wallace says, we're Indians, duh. And
so
Jesus in a straw
hat.
Yeah, Jesus in a straw hat thought he was like an ugly woman or something. So anyways, they go to this barn.
Abatha's
barn to steal her corn. And Wallace is like, how did she grow this much corn? Like, what the heck? So they start loading up the carts and stuff, and there's just so much corn. Mm-hmm. And Jesus in a straw hat is like, I don't think that's what it is. Just Jesus something is like, dude, we can't stop. We can't take all this corn. You're going to break the cart. And Wallace is like, I'm throwing more on there. So the cart breaks, and Jesus in a straw hat is like, we have to leave. We have to go. We'll come back tomorrow with more carts or whatever, because now you done broke the cart. Nope. Wallace just sets the barn on fire. So she loses all her corn.
Oh, yeah. So then Wallace is like, she can't pay me now.
Yeah.
I remember. And then she has Samson make her these little beads.
Yes. The Pequot beads.
Yeah.
The Pequot beads.
Which are used as currency in the town.
Yes.
So if she has enough of those, then she can pay him in full without the corn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so she has Samson make her a ton of those so that she can do it. And so she does pay off Wallace in full, but with the Pequot beads.
And with honey.
Yeah. Which at that time there was no honey because it was like a bee shortage or whatever. But her and Samson were able to like make friends with the bees and get them to make a lot.
Basically through this whole thing, like this middle portion of the book, Abatha is like discovering that Samson has abilities to like connect with nature and stuff, and so she's connecting with nature ultimately, and like nature's on her side pretty much.
Yep. So I don't want to skip over anything else. I immediately forget plots. So like after she pays him, then he is pissed that he lost the land, and so he tries to get everyone to think that she's a witch.
Yeah.
So he gets a couple witnesses and takes them out to her farm. And basically, what's he see? He sees her and her cat.
So homeboy pulls up behind a log and with crazy old, I don't even remember his name. It starts with an A.
Ansel
from town, who basically blames everybody for being a demon. Like, he's like, everybody's possessed by the devil. And his son, I think, is also there. Maybe not his son. I don't know.
Isaac. I think it's
Isaac
his son.
Is his son.
I don't know.
Yeah, it is Isaac. And they pull up behind this log. They view Abatha, and they're like, wow, she must be a witch because
oh my god,
her breast out.
Yes.
Sweat trickling. Like
they all 3 get a boner, and so they're like, she's a witch because she's made me have a boner.
Yeah, no, legit. And then they see her cat, who this poor cat is like one-eyed, like one three-legged and like disgusting looking,
But it's just a cat.
but it's just a cat. And she's like working and doing whatever. Well, she starts making a flower crown. And upon further inspection, there seems to be bones and like some of her hair in it. And they're like, well, yep, she's making that for the
Witchcraft.
devil. Witchcraft, and there's her familiar right over there, ready to suck on her teeth. So
Yeah, they call her cat her familiar
yeah,
because it like helps her do her witchly duties or
yes.
whatever. So they take all of this information to the constable. What's it called?
Uh,
The judge,
uh,
basically.
it starts with an M. Magistrate.
Magistrate.
Yeah, something
Why'd I
like that.
say constable?
I don't know. It's fine.
They take it to the magistrate and they're like, witchcraft is being performed at Abatha's ranch farm.
Yes. And the magistrate is like friends with Wallace.
So he believes him. And
Yeah.
so Abatha gets arrested
Mhm.
and taken in and basically forced to sit through this trial, which we all know she's going to be found guilty anyways because she's a woman being accused of a
Well,
witch.
and they asked all the girls in town too to come testify at this trial
Against her.
And even freaking Helen, who was her friend and asked for this charm, was like, oh yeah, she gave me a charm. All these like 12 girls were like, she gave me a charm for love,
And it's burning.
and it's burning, and she tricked me, and she told me that it was, I don't know, but
Yep.
like just
Yep. And earlier in the book, Abatha helps the Reverend and his wife Sarah heal their daughter with some salve or some ointment. And so then they get Sarah, the magistrate brings Sarah in and says, you've done witchcraft too because you let her work on your daughter.
aided her in witchcraft.
And so Sarah's under trial too, but they know that like if they kill a reverend's wife, that's going to cause more issues for them. So they're like, we have to get her to confess and then we can just let her off the hook this once. And so they crush her with a door and rocks on top, being like, do you confess? No. Do you confess now? No. And then more crushing.
She's like being squished to death and can't even talk.
And then finally they bring her daughter in and her daughter is like, please, Mom, don't leave me. Like, please just confess. And so then
her daughter got her into this situation.
Well, I mean, her daughter had measles. It's not her fault.
No, her daughter said, yes, Abatha, I had dreams of Abatha and the devil afterwards.
She did confess in front of the whole court that she, her mom aided, basically.
Yeah. And
so,
like,
but they bring her in. She's like, Mom, please confess. Don't leave me. And so then Sarah confesses. And so she gets let off the hook. And then they're going to hang Abatha by her toes and let her just starve to death or let her blood all go to her head.
They basically told her she can confess to witchcraft and have an easy death and they'll just like slit her throat, or if she doesn't confess they're gonna hang her. No, that's not what happened. They asked her to tell them that Sarah had aided her. Tell us Sarah aided you and you will have an easy death, but if you don't confess that she aided you, then we'll string you up by your toes pretty much and let you.
And instead of saying that Sarah aided her, she looked at Wallace
and
she said, it wasn't Sarah, it was Wallace.
Yeah.
And so that was like her one last kick into
like,
Wallace.
It didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And it's also notable that through this whole thing, like the Reverend Reverend Carter, he's like the Reverend of the town. He's always been on her side pretty much and kind of looked out for her. And like
his wife too.
Yeah, they were just really good people. So they looked out for her through the whole thing, and purposely they didn't invite Reverend Carter to be the magistrate for this whatever, because
they knew that he'd let her off.
Yeah. So
But so basically they go to string Abatha up by her toes. And she also sees her cat that they have hung.
Yeah.
Poor little Booker.
The the guard dude's like, yep,
See,
took me a while to kill that one. Yep.
he squirmed and screamed,
Yep.
and then he's like, I'd like to see you raise him from the dead. Go on, go
Yep.
try.
Because that's what they thought. Somebody had testified that she
Resurrected
saw,
him.
yes, that she saw the cat die and get ran over by a wagon or something like that. And Abatha
Got
came.
attacked by 3 dogs.
There you go. And Abatha came and resurrected him from the dead.
Yeah, basically a bunch of liars. So then they
They also found her naked pictures that her husband drew of her.
Yeah, paint me like one of your French girls.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I was
Same.
reading it. And I said, what the
Titanic moment.
uh,
So after that, Samson comes back to get her.
yeah, she's like been praying to Samson this whole time.
Please come
Please
get me.
come get me. And he doesn't answer because meanwhile, Samson is like,
He's asleep again.
he's asleep because he got tricked by this. I don't even know what he is. This like
He's the
native
shaman.
shaman, but he's not real.
Mm-mm.
He got
Mamuna
tricked.
pet.
Yeah, there you go. He got tricked and he put on this skull.
It's so hard
It's
to
so
explain.
hard to explain because it's like, what even is going on? And he thought that the forestlings were against him. So he went back to sleep. Well, then the forestling came and like woke him back up. And they're like, no, he's lying to you. You're
Mamuna pet.
No, you're not a demon. I feel like
You're
I
a
do really
nature god.
Yeah.
And so they awaken him back up, and then he goes and gets Abatha. And then they go on a killing spree.
Yeah, so he gets Abatha and he's like, somewhere along the way, she gets possessed by like Mother Earth or something. And, or no, she drinks his blood or something like that happens. And she changes into like this demonic force herself. And her eyes
She
are
has
like
hooves.
slit. She's got hooves. Her hair's going crazy, which is like not what you're supposed to do. And she starts going after everybody that accused her of witchcraft, especially the guards, especially the men, mostly the men.
Yeah.
She went to Wallace's house and he's like, what the heck? Meanwhile, before she barged in, Wallace is telling his daughter to shut the heck up because he was the one that told her to lie. And then she just kept talking about it. And so he's like, I'm going to beat you if you don't shut up.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Great.
And so anyway, she barges in, and Wallace is like, "What in God's name are you doing here?" And her daughter is so scared. His daughter is so scared, and Abatha marks an L on her for liar in her forehead, and then Wallace, she like calls all these beetles something like that, to come eat him, pretty much. Yeah. And
It's
so,
a death well deserved
yeah.
from him for him.
So the daughter and the wife get away, and nothing happens to them besides the gal has the L carved into her.
Loser.
There you go. Perfect. That's exactly what it means. Anyway, so they get away, and then she goes to the magistrate's house, and the magistrate is trying to get away. This is the part where I was angry, and I'm still angry thinking about it today. So he's trying to get away, and he tells the little guy who's supposed to be protecting him that he needs to get his chair because it's a family heirloom, and they need to pack it. And dude says, "What about Sarah Good over here sitting down? Sarah's the one that got crushed, you know? What about Sarah Good? She's just still chilling in this cage thing. No, I'll just leave her there." So the guy's like, "I'm not gonna leave her here." So he puts her up there, and the magistrate's like, what the heck is she doing here? Told you to get my chair. Anyways, this whole big thing happens, and Abatha finds them, and Abatha cuts out the guy's tongue, the magistrate's tongue. And they just go on this killing spree this whole entire time. The sheriff, this is spoilers. The sheriff shoots Abatha. She dies. Samson is pissed and decides to kill off the remaining people, and ultimately burns down this church, burns down they don't have church, their meeting house, and kills everybody inside. And then I'm just gonna wait. You can just wait to see what happens at the end, because there's like a little. You want me to tell them?
Well, the end was like the best part.
Okay.
That you told me.
So at the very, very, very end, after all this happens, Abatha is like resurrected by the pawpaw tree, I think. And at the very end, it skips to 1972. And it's these two guys, and they're hunting in the woods, and they're like, look at these big old prints of this stag. Like, dang, we gotta follow this. Well, it leads them to a cavern, and the one dude's like, I've never seen this cavern in the whole years I've been out here hunting. He's like, well, must be good game in there, you know? And they stumble upon this little hut, and they're like, there's beads around the door. It must be some hippies up in here, you know? Well, Abatha pops out of the hut, and she's like, hi, boys. What are you guys looking for? And they're like, oh, nothing. We're just looking. And she's like, you want to come look at me? And like brings them inside. And she's like, I'm actually making dinner if you guys want to go ahead and lay down and take a nap before we eat. And they do. And something gets said, and she's like, yeah, well, Slewfoot should be here any second. And they're like, who's Slewfoot? And she says, it like basically ends with her saying, the devil. And then that's the end. Oh, I forgot the part. I forgot like the most important part too. So back up before 1972. Sorry, Katie. God. Anyways, Samson lets the Reverend live, but he tells the Reverend, I want you to go and I want you to preach to everybody in the next town that you go to never step foot in these woods again because the devil lives here. So that's a preference for 1972. That's why it happened. Anyways, that's it. That's all.
So you're gonna do the history portion now, or Allie just she just said, "Give me the mic." She said, "I got it. Don't worry. You just sit back and relax. This is my show now."
I just swallow my water so I don't spit it out.
She said, "This is the Allie show."
It's because I'm just so mad about that book. I'm just so mad. Would you rate it?
I rated it a 3.5. What'd you rate it?
I rated it a 3. And that's because I was so mad.
We couldn't tell.
It just infuriates me how women get blamed for being witches through all of history, and it's for nothing, for their boobs being out. It just pisses me off. And anyways, I didn't get to touch any of the characters like usual. And I don't know why else I rated a 3. I forgot.
Well, why don't you just go ahead and keep talking? Here you go.
Okay. Doesn't specifically mention the Salem witch trials, but it does like bring up women being witches, right?
And
and
being
I know
killed for it.
and being killed for it. I know a lot of well, not a lot of, just one person in our book club wanted us to talk about the Salem witch trials, but I'm thinking that maybe we can in the future talk about like Hester or something.
Yeah.
Because that actually relates. So for this one, I wanted to just talk about like what brought on women being blamed to be like what did you have to meet to be blamed to be a witch?
Very little. You
Okay.
had to have some tits and you were a witch.
Pretty much. Okay, so here's what I got, right? I want you to hold up 10 fingers. And I want you to see how many you get to get a witch, okay?
To get a witch.
Are you ready?
Ready.
You're a woman. So if you're a woman, you're a witch.
Mhm.
Because all women are servants to the devil himself.
Reporting for duty.
Obviously, we ate the apple in the Garden of Eden ourselves. So we are just more susceptible to falling to sin.
Mhm.
Okay. So out of the 19 people accused of Salem.
Do I have to hold my fingers?
Yes.
Okay.
Out of 19 people accused in Salem, 5 were men and 14 were women.
Wow.
All right, your second one. You're poor.
How do I get two? Stupid one of them.
I think that actually might be one. The poor and homeless are likely to fall to the community for help. So Sarah Good, who was hanged and hung and God, I can't. Am I stupid? Put a finger down. Sarah Good, who was hung. God.
I think it is hanged.
Hanged, hung, whatever, in Salem, in the Salem witch trials, was distrusted by her neighbors because she begged for food.
Oh. She said, I'm hungry, please. And they said, witch.
Only the devil gets hungry. Oh God. You're rich. You don't have to put a finger. Are you rich? Are you rich and poor?
Nope, I'm poor.
If you were able to support yourself without a man, then you were distrusted and likely exiled by your community, especially in Puritan's time, because you just weren't supposed to be rich.
Okay.
But you also can't be poor. And between 1620 and 1725, women without brothers or sons to share their inheritance compromised 89% of women who were executed for witchcraft in New England. So 89% of them were women who
just had money.
Yeah, and could do it without a man. Okay. You've had one or more women friends in your life. I'm your friend, so you can put your finger down. Thanks, though. A group of women who gathered without a male chaperone were deemed a coven, and they were obviously worshiping the devil.
We're a coven right now.
Yes. We are currently in coercing with the devil.
There is no man present. We must call him.
You have an argument or disagreement with someone.
Every day.
It's mostly a man. It's no surprise that those around you who may not like you would be the first to point their fingers at you're a witch, just like in this book. You're very old. No, you're not old. Rebecca Nurse, Frances, was in her early 70s when she was tried and convicted and put to death for being a witch.
Awesome.
You're very young.
I'd say I'm young.
Let's say you're middle age.
Okay. I won't put it down then.
I'd say you're very young, but not as young as Dorothy Good. She was 4 years old when she was put on trial for the Salem witch trials. Yep. 4 years old, and she spent not a year, but almost a year and 9 months. She spent 9 months in jail. Yep. Could you imagine a 4-year-old in jail? Oh my goodness. You're married with no children.
I have one.
That constant noise. Because you're infertile and your neighbor has kids, then you're a witch who cursed them out of jealousy. But also get this, if you do have kids, you're also a witch. You have a mole, a birthmark, or a third nipple.
I have a birthmark. Let me be clear.
No third nipple for
No
you?
third nipple. No.
Okay. So this spot is where it's believed that your familiar animal would attach itself and drink your blood.
On my birthmark?
Yeah.
There's no teeth there.
Doesn't matter. It's marked by the devil, so your familiar can come drink your blood.
Okay.
You break any rule in the Bible.
Daily.
For obvious reasons, you go against God. You're obviously making a pact with the devil by accidentally breaking a rule in the Bible. The multiple rules in the Bible.
All of them.
Yeah. So, you have 3 left?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Definitely a witch.
I'm a witch.
Yep, 100%.
Hang me.
So, we're not going to hang you, but we are going to do some tests on you.
Okay, great.
Okay. Test. Can you swim?
Yes.
A person accused of being a witch would be taken to a body of water. They would be thrown in to see if they sink or float. If the innocent sank to the... Okay, so innocent sank to the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Witches would float due to their unholiness and fear of baptism.
Or maybe just because people float.
Right. Here's where the logic doesn't lie. If you're innocent, you're already sinking to the bottom to die. So, like, what's it honestly matter? What's it honestly matter? Anyways, your body would be rejected by the water, so you would float. Because, you know, you can't be baptized if you're a witch.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so prayer test, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is believed that witches cannot speak scripture.
Okay.
So they would recite something like the Lord's Prayer, but they'd have to do it without messing up one single word. And remember, women were illiterate.
Pharaoh, is that you? So, are you about to ask me to recite the Lord's Prayer?
No.
I don't know that.
Give us our day, this daily bread, or something like that.
I'd say,
in the shadow of death. I don't even know it.
Thank you for our friends and our food. Amen. That's what Parker says.
Good. That's good. That's not the Lord's Prayer. So
that's my Lord's Prayer.
Anyways, some were illiterate, and some probably had been tortured enough that they were just nervous and couldn't remember it and recite it because they're traumatized. During the Salem witch trials, the accused sorcerer George Burroughs, he flawlessly recited the prayer from the gallows just before he was executed, and they said, "It's a trick of the devil." Slice.
They said, "If you can recite this perfectly, you will live." He said,
"Done and done."
And they said, "You lie!"
Yep. So really, there's no win-win situation here at all. There's a touch test. So victims of the witch would be placed in the same room as the witch, and then the witch would touch them, and if nothing happened, they were innocent. But if that victim started convulsing, they were obviously a witch. Not that you could pretend or anything, you know?
Never could you.
You would
it's
never.
Only real.
Yeah. You were a child of God, so you would never lie, you know? You would search for a devil's mark. So the accused were stripped out, publicly examined for marks which were said to be received when you made a pact with the devil. And these marks were typically known to pain. So they would literally stab you, make you bleed, which they did to Sarah in the book. stab you, make you bleed, and like see if it bled or not, or if you felt any pain. Which, like, I feel like anybody would.
Yeah. I mean, if you stab him hard enough,
right?
Scream.
Right. So, anyways, it's not in my notes, but I also saw. Obviously, if you read up on the Salem witch trials, there's a whole bunch of stuff, but there was one guy who was pressed to death by boards, and it was a guy, it wasn't a woman. So, but he also cursed the sheriffs. I was listening to a podcast before this on the Salem witch trials, and it said that this dude who got crushed cursed the sheriff right before he was getting ready to die. And it is said that in Salem, every sheriff since then, that dude died of a heart attack. And it's since then, every sheriff has either that has resigned or died in office has been related to a heart issue.
Dang.
Yeah. I think the guy who did the podcast is like, I didn't have time to research that, but that's what they say. So, anyways, that's all I got for the witches. Obviously, there was a lot more. Like, I guess if you're making a flower crown or you, like, wore red or something, yeah, you're probably going to be accused of being a witch. Or you're just a woman. I mean, really.
If you're a woman, you're a witch and you're dead.
Yeah,
so.
Pretty much.
Sucks to suck, I guess.
Sucks to suck.
What would you rate it historical accuracy?
I'd rate it a 3.
I think a 3 feels good.
Yeah. Because there was stuff in there that I was like, okay, this really kind of seems like it go along with the Salem witch trials.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I rate it a 3.
There's a lot of stuff that made sense.
Yeah. And it's kind of hard to rate since, like, you know.
It's not a true story.
It's not a true story. If it was a true story, like I originally thought it was, this would have been so much better. But whatever.
It's fine.
It's fine. I actually don't want it to be real, so.
So, yeah. That's all we have for you this week. And the next time you see us, it will be November.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well.
Sayonara.
We'll see you in November. Adios.